Alright, we are back on sports, and you know what? It has been a hell of a week for sports, and you know we have to get into it. Now, before we even get started on the NFL draft and all that type of stuff, I know y'all really want to get into that. I want to talk about some local things first before I get started, okay? First off, I want to give a shout out to the Phillies, because the Phillies are trying. They're trying. I mean, they kind of got destroyed last night by the Cubs, but still, they are trying. They are showing some heart out there. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm sitting here and watching these games, and I'm actually enjoying them until the score gets completely out of hand. You know what I mean? But there's still, one of those games where you sit back, you can relax, you can watch. It's a patience game. It's pretty good. I know the bullpen has a lot of problems, especially when it comes to save situations. This is something that needs to be taken care of when it comes to the Phillies. It is. You cannot sit here and tell me that that's okay. The bats, I really don't have that much of a problem with as of late. I mean, these guys are doing what they need to do. But the question becomes, because we're seeing them put up runs, because we've heard the media and everyone else say, well, this team is not going to be able to put up any numbers. They got to play small ball all season. And I was like, if that's the case, that's fine too. As long as you're getting on base and you're generating runs, I don't have a problem with small ball. But, as you see, they're playing pretty damn good. The question should be, how long can it last? That's the question. Can they put up this type of productivity when it comes to the offensive side of the ball throughout the entire season? That's the question. I mean, it's still fresh in the season, but we'll see what happens with the Phillies. But like I said, right now, we don't really expect much from the Phillies this season, and for what we're getting already, I'm already happy about it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty satisfied with it. Granted, you always want to get better, and you don't want to see blowouts like you did last night, but hey, you know what I mean? You always want to try and keep going, right? All right. Now, like I said, I want to start some local stuff. For those who don't know, on Sunday, the Broad Street Run will be going on. The 10-miler will be going on. I told you before, this is one of the best races that Philly has to offer. It's a flat ground. It's absolutely amazing. I think the crowds make it as much as possible. The people just come out of their houses and they're cheering you on. This is a good race. I will not be competing in the Broad Street Run this year, as opposed to because I did it last year. There's no point in me doing it this year. I gave up my spot for someone else. I will be out there, however, cheering on a number of friends that I know that will be out there running. So I will be out there. But yeah, it seems like this year is better than last year, because for those who did it last year, that weather was absolutely hectic. It was horrible out there. It was cold. It was raining. People were acting a fool. It seems as though this year, given the forecast, and I know you can't always go by the news because they kind of fuck up everything, but given the forecast, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day to run. And I think this year would have been the ideal year to run instead of last year. Of course, we don't know that. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. However, for those who have not seen the medal for this year's medal is a hell of a lot better than last year's medal. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. But like I said, I'm not going to run Broad Street Run this year because, as you know, I'm focusing my running on the Philadelphia Marathon, the full marathon. So you got to think, there was a 10-miler coming up. Was it this weekend? Last weekend, I ran a half marathon on my own. You know what I mean? So a 10-miler is nothing at this point to me. The course I ran for 13 0.2 or whatever. Some could say half, depending on how they feel, because it's a half marathon. That's usually how the jargon goes. I started at 5th. I ran down to Penn's Landing, went through Penn's Landing, went to Ray Street Pier, ran back around the Ray Street Pier. Went back through Penn's Landing, then came back up to 5th. And when I mean Penn's Landing, that means I went through the seaport and everything. So all that open air and everything, that resistance of wind. Mind you, it was raining that day. Resistance of wind and rain really helps. When you're running. Went through that. Came back up to 5th, and mind you, when I'm running on 5th, I'm going on Spruce. So Spruce up to 5th, made a right on 5th, went down 5th, went to the Ben Franklin Bridge, ran across the Ben Franklin Bridge into Jersey. That's right, into Camden. Came back around from Camden, back up into the Ben Franklin Bridge, back down to 5th, went across 5th to Walnut, ran up to from 5th and Walnut, ran up to 22nd Street, then came back down to 5th. So it was like that was 13 right there. It was about 13, and I ran around a little bit more around that area until I got to the 13 mark. So yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, that, like I said, and that's the thing is, if it wasn't for my knee, I'd have kept going because my knee started a little bit of ailing and pulling on the side. I think I need to foam roll a little bit more, but wasn't tired at all. I could have did another 10 miles. Like, I was really just like, this is it? Like, I was fine. So, to have, that type of mileage, a half marathon, I think this weekend I'm going to shoot for maybe 15 or 18 miles. Yeah, I think. The full marathon for Philadelphia, the 26.2, is not until November. And I'm already in this type of rhythm already. So, I think I'm in good company right now. I'm in a good space right now. However, for those who don't know, just over last weekend, also, Canton, Ohio, Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, they had their half marathon, and you know what? Their medal was pretty damn nice. Speaking of football, let's move on to the NFL draft. Now, I don't know if y'all hear that helicopter out there, all right, that's going by, but you know what? We're going to talk about that as well, because there's a number of things that was wrong here locally with the NFL draft, but also good with the NFL draft. Now, before I get started on the actual draft, let's talk about Philly and the way they tried to plan this. Because for those who don't know, everyone had their hand out when it came to this. And Philadelphia Weekly actually posted this. This is on the front page of their newspaper telling you how you should spend your time here. Visitors, all you visitors, how you should spend your time here in Philadelphia with activities. Man, the festivities for the NFL draft have come a long way, hasn't it? I mean, you really sitting there promoting strip clubs. Now, look, you're trying to get people to go to the strip clubs. I'm not going to no strip club and throwing money at some woman that's not going to have sex with me. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not doing that. But, it's a larger implication of this, because let's be honest here. We've seen athletes, time and time again, get into a lot of trouble at strip clubs. And this is what you promote? And I say this due to the fact that you gotta think, you have these athletes, I'm sure they went out when they came here, people from the draft, they signed that new contract, so they know they're getting that guaranteed money. Of course, they're going to want to go crazy a little bit, you know what I mean? And also the other athletes are probably either retired here, or the fact that you have even current athletes that are just there just to be there during the draft, you know what I mean, support. So, Philadelphia Weekly, they thought they were slick, but they wasn't really slick, alright? However, overall, can we give a big, not just a big shout out to Philadelphia, all right, but a big applause to Philadelphia on the way they acted. The fans, everyone, look, everybody has said, on the internet, every media outlet has said, like Adam Schefter and stuff, thank you for giving us a great NFL draft experience. Philadelphia broke the record for most attendees, and the passion that, these fans showed, and of course it wasn't just the passion of Philadelphia fans, but also from fans that came from other places as well. But it made a great, an overall great experience for, the media. So you can't have the media say, but they acted badly. And here's the thing, all right? On day one, I did expect there to be some problems. Like afterwards, news at 11, Philadelphia fan gets into a fight, whatever. But there was only one report of a problem. Apparently, there was a drunk Philadelphia fan who had not even an altercation. They just had some words with police, but nothing came from it. The guy wasn't, arrested or anything like that, and charged or anything. Nothing came from it. So one drunk fan out of, 250,000 people or something like that? That's a good day. No problems whatsoever from Philadelphia fans. You went out there, you showed your support, and as far as I'm concerned, that's what you want to see. Of course, you're always going to have these idiots from Dallas, and I have to say that because that's what it was from. Dallas media, all right, who's not part of, of course, ESPN. But they had to say, Philadelphia is a dump. Philadelphia, it throws snowball at Santa Claus. I mean, of course, you knew it was coming, right? But like I said, for all the the media outlets, the mainstream media outlets saying, hey, you guys put on a great NFL draft. It was a great experience. You're always going to have those idiots who 9 times out of 10 haven't even been here. Not just media, also fans as well. I've seen a lot of Dallas fans say the same thing. And when there were questions, well, have you ever been to Philadelphia? No. What the hell are you talking about it then for? Look, I'll put it like this. If you've been to Philadelphia and you say, look, the city is trash, it's dirty or whatever, I'm not going to combat you on that. All right? I'm not going to. All right? Because that's your opinion. But if you haven't been somewhere like Philadelphia, especially the draft, and you're going to sit here and you're going to bag on the city, that's just childish. That's not fan banter going back and forth, especially when you have media outlets doing it from Dallas. No, that's just stupid. It is. It's absolutely stupid. And for you to have Pearson get up there on stage and act like a total dickbag for no reason. Look, there's a difference between fandom, all right, And this guy trying to play up the role like, oh, I'm a badass because I'm on stage. Yeah, thank you for making my career and all this. Motherfucker, if you don't get the fuck out of here, this old bullshit, everybody has been fine this entire time. If you notice, if you go back and you watch that clip of him trying to ham it up to get people to boo him, which was a try-hard move, all right? If you look in the crowd and you see the Dallas fans, they were in the crowd, Dallas fans wasn't acting up. Nah. Dallas fans are sitting there like, cool. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, we're here. They're not fearing for their lives or anything. No, they're relaxed just like everyone else is relaxed. They weren't taking it to that level. However, it always took some idiot on stage to act like that, right? Yeah, always. But you know what? Within all this draft, and I have to say, even the festivities local that was actually at the draft was great. It seems like everyone was in good spirits, and it goes to show you that Philadelphia can handle something like that. It can. Now, let's talk about the bad parts of the draft, shall we? All right. ESPN. Horrible, and I mean horrible management when it comes to your broadcast. Horrible. How do you sit here and tell us that the pick is in for certain teams and that other teams are on the clock when you won't still announce the other pick from before? And they still didn't announce the pick, even though another team was on the clock. They didn't announce the previous pick before that. So you had to wait another 5 minutes until they decide to announce the pick. And I don't understand this because these guys clearly are just talking and talking and talking and talking. And we're here for the draft to see who's being picked. We're not here to hear you banter the entire time. I understand that you have to fill in that time gap so that, it keeps people entertained and keeps the ball rolling until the pick is in. But once it's in, shut the hell up. We want to know the pick. But you going for an extra 5 minutes. No one cares. So as far as I'm concerned, that was a big problem with ESPN and their management when it came to talking. You think someone in their earpiece would tell them something, right? You would think that. But there's more. When you sit here and say, okay, we're going commercial free from here on out, and as soon as you say that, you'll go to commercial. Like literally, right after you said there would be no commercial breaks, you went to commercial. It's absolutely ridiculous. I just don't understand that. And maybe there was a mix-up or something. But the fact is, management, still horrible. There's more though. Now, like I said, let's still talk about the bad stuff. Locally here, I understand the NFL draft and every media, especially all the local idiots here, are going to cover it, all right? But it doesn't mean that you need to have helicopters flying over every place to try and get overhead shots of the city, you know what I mean, at all types of night. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, it can't be that bad, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, or whatever. No, we're still talking 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, because after the draft, people are letting out from the draft, and then you have to also understand, in the city, you have all these people who are still at bars afterwards, and it's nothing but overhead shots, so helicopter circling, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. At that point, you're pissed off. You know what I mean? In all areas of the city, you're pissed off. Because you can't get any sleep. Yep, fuck sleep. You're not getting that. All right? All because the NFL draft, because the media didn't know how to just say, okay, let's call it a night. Everyone is dispersing. We'll get a shot of it. Then that's it. No one said you got to keep hovering around and circling around the same area for 2 hours. That's absolutely ridiculous. All right? I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Listen, 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, if not more, it was absolutely ridiculous. I believe it technically ended around my way. I'm going to say about 1:30, about around 1:30. Because I was up watching TV, because I couldn't sure as hell couldn't go to sleep. So, yeah, I was up watching TV, watching Netflix because of it. Constant helicopter. You ever try to watch a movie when a helicopter's going by, you gotta keep turning it up, then it goes away, and turn back down, it comes back up, turn back up. Like, man. But I guess it could be worse. I say this due to the fact that if you didn't see the fan reactions of this year's draft, I understand Eagles fans, at first, you were a little confused of the pick. But you have to understand, the picks that we had in the draft, they weren't it was a good draft. It was. Given what was on the board, it was a good draft. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to look at the money aspect first and issues and say, if this guy can go, and if he can't, maybe he's injured, we don't know. But the fact is, we still have a long way away from, the actual season. Now, I say this due to the fact that, of course, as we know, these guys got to get in shape. They got to go through OTAs. They got to go through preseason. We got a while to go for the season. So you don't want to burn them out too much. And, of course, guys could be injured. You never know what could happen, all right? But I feel the Eagles, they had an actually good draft. Now, if we want to talk about the fans who overreacted all the fucking time, and we talked about this, because as soon as the first pick was in, it was like Eagles fans got quiet. It was like they almost like they just couldn't catch their breath. And we were seeing it live on Twitter. And people were asking me how you feel about this. And I'm like, look, it's what's best what's on the board. And some people said, no, it's not what's best on the board. So, respectfully, you can have that debate, you know what I mean? And say you didn't take the best player at that time. And then you have other people who were just, if you went on Eagles Twitter, absolutely upset. People were saying to Eagles, I fucking hate you. What the fuck were you thinking? Blah, blah. And then, and people were just overreacting. As you know, there's people who, especially here on YouTube, overreact just to overreact for views. And it's a bunch of bullshit because, once again, fake. If you can't be a real fan, then don't speak on it. You know what I mean? And that goes for Twitter, that goes for Facebook, that goes for any social media outlet, especially here on YouTube as well. All right, VidMe or whatever. If you can't be a real fan, you have to always have this type of overreaction to every little thing that happens, even when it's not our fucking team. Get the fuck out of here, because that's not how we operate. All right, but you have to understand also that when it comes to these type of situations, when Eagles fans were freaking out that night, the next morning they were like, I want to apologize for my behavior. Because you knew you overreacted and you knew it was a bad look. It made you look bad. Because you know, once you finally did the research, okay, what we got in these picks, they're not that bad. They're not. It could have been a lot worse. I really would have hoped that Lane Johnson, for those who did not see, Lane Johnson on First Take just acting like a cuck, all right? And a lot of you had said, you sent me stuff saying, did he just throw the team under the bus, especially Carson Wentz? Lane Johnson needs to go. I don't know how many times I can tell you this, but I'll say it again. Even though we're not even in Eagle season, I'll say it again. Fuck Lane Johnson. That's how I feel. And for him to try and congratulate other players, yeah, happy to have you on the team, blah, blah, I don't want to hear it. I don't hear about how negative your PR is right now. That's why you went on First Take. You know what I mean? To make it seem like you're a likable person. I don't give a shit. You got caught twice doing some shit you had no business doing. Then you want to blame the NFLPA for not backing you. I'll put it like this. You are a grown man who knows what the fuck they're taking. Okay? You don't need somebody to back you. How about you just stop doing this shit? How about that? And then not to mention the comments that you have made in the past about the fan base. So you're done as far as I'm concerned. I would have been very happy when the Eagles, look, people probably would have, said to me, well, you're crazy for taking the offensive lineman in the first pick. Look, if they'd have said offensive lineman in this position, Lane Johnson, you going, I'd have been happy. I'd have been happy. Simply because Lane Johnson would have been going. I don't understand how many chances this guy is going to get. He shouldn't get any more chances. All right, he shouldn't. I understand you saying, well, you're talking a little bit crazy here. We needed more pieces. I agree, because the first thing I actually thought the first thing that we were going to address was the secondary, but instead they went with a defensive end. So I was like, all right, we'll see what else they can do. But no, I feel as though they still had a good draft. I don't understand where people are getting upset. Why are you getting upset? This guy sucks. This guy. Do you watch college football? No. Now you want to talk about they suck then? Shut the fuck up. Like, seriously, people don't understand. I see this a lot with Eagles fans. And we talked about this on Twitter before the draft, like weeks leading into the draft. Everybody going to be Twitter GMs. They're going to start looking at footage on YouTube to see what they can say and then form their opinion. Or the fact that if they don't get somebody that they want, they'll automatically write that person off. We talked about this before, and of course, like clockwork, it happened. Because that's how predictable some of these people are. But the fact is, the Eagles had a good draft, all right? Now, if you want to look at the Bears, we can talk about the Bears real quick, because anyone who saw the reaction when their pick came in, priceless.
Financial commitment there. And, Coach, you mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Look at the reaction in Chicago. Wow. They thought they were getting a defensive player. Could you imagine? This could be the video they play for years and years if Trubisky finally does deliver a championship back to Chicago.
And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, then you got to look at Browns fans when their pick came in. Look, put it like this. I thought we had a good draft. And I put it like this. You get ready for Eagles football. You know we went and got pieces when it came to the offensive end. And then they tailored to the defensive end when it came to the draft. So we'll see what these guys have. We'll see what happens, when the time comes. But I don't know why people are so mad. I don't see it. I really don't. Like I said, a number of people I've talked to in real life, not on the internet, because the internet's full of idiots, okay? But in real life, Eagles fans who, were at the draft, people who were at bars and watching, intensely, and talking to a lot of those people, they're very happy. They're very optimistic about what the future can hold for the Eagles. So as far as I'm concerned, we will see what happens, all right? The pieces that we got were very well done. So, yeah, we'll see. Anyone who says anything, I'll play this. I don't want it to seem like it's a role of authority. But anybody who thinks that this was a bad draft, now your fan card has to be questioned. And I don't mean that as an Eagles fan. I say that as a football fan in general. Something's fucking wrong with you. If you don't know what your team needs and know the pieces that it needs or see what they're doing, there's something wrong with you. There is. I'm sorry. There's just something wrong with you. But let's move on to football. Some more football, but overseas, shall we? Let's talk about Chelsea. And let's talk about Tottenham. All right? Now, I put it like this. Chelsea and Tottenham, it's a two-horse race right now when it comes to winning the title. As we know this, all right? Tottenham is not letting that go. They're just not going to let it go easily. And you know what? For every person that keeps saying that, they keep trying to taunt me and say that, you should be scared that Chelsea's going to bottle the league. No, I would actually rather it be close due to the fact that it's more exciting. Who wants to sit around for, if Chelsea was in clear pole position from this point on, all right, and let's just say they didn't lose that 10-point lead. Let's just say that, okay? And they just kept winning and winning, and Tottenham kept losing and losing. And people are saying, oh, yeah, well, it's definitely out of reach now. That would make the rest of the games boring. It would make them boring, all right? But now that we got a close race, this is actually exciting. So that means every game that you watch now, when it comes to Premier League, between these two teams and who they play, you know the teams they're going to play, they're looking to upset. That's what they're looking to do. So it makes it exciting. The pressure is on. That's what you want as a sports fan overall. That's what you want. All right? No one wants no blowouts. No, we want some close competition. So we can say, wow, that was great. Or if Chelsea does bottle league, it gives bragging rights to Tottenham, but you can always say it's been a hell of a season. Last season was a hell of a season. You had the story of Leicester City, who came from nowhere, from down in the deeps, and and pulled off what they did. That was a great story. You know what I mean? And you didn't need media to make it up either. You know what I mean? It was just about skills. This time, same thing. Two-horse race. This is the story this year. Two-horse race, and we'll see who can hang on. We'll see who can get caught and who bottles it. And if not, it's a great thing to look at. However, over the weekend, because a lot of people keep trying to tease us Chelsea fans, I don't get it. We lost to Manchester United, but we won the rest of the games after that. Y'all understand that was quite a few weeks ago, right, that we lost. But we've won since then. So, especially beating Tottenham. So, I don't understand where people keep feeling as though, you guys aren't as good as you say you are. I don't get that. I really don't. They're going out there and they're winning by a good amount. So, I don't see the problem. And I have to talk to Arsenal fans real quick, all right? Arsenal fans. I don't know whether to laugh at you as a Chelsea fan or feel bad for you as a soccer fan or a football fan, no matter how you slice it, all right? I don't know, because for those who don't know, Arsenal fans were looking for revenge over the weekend to play against Tottenham. This was their time. This was their time to get back and say, we're going for what you've done. We're going to knock you down. We're going to make sure that we beat you so that we can stick it back in you. And, of course, the rest of us who weren't fans of either team are on the outside looking in, and we're saying, no matter who wins, it's going to be funny for us. And then it happened. Arsenal lost to Tottenham. And I'm watching this game, I'm like, okay, it's one thing to lose to Tottenham. But the way you lost to Tottenham is where I was just like, this isn't real right now. You know what I mean? Like it was absolutely ridiculous the way they lost. So I'm sure even Arsenal fans are just like, dude, kill me right now. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to hear the end of that now. You know what I mean? So they had a chance to do something, and then that happens. So yeah, I feel like I said, I don't know whether to laugh at Arsenal or to laugh at to either laugh or feel bad for them. I just don't know. Either way, they had a chance to do something, not just to benefit us Chelsea fans. Because that's, to be honest, yes, it benefits us, But knowing that there was a revenge factor going into this game, it was more about Arsenal and Tottenham than it was Chelsea sitting on the sidelines and waiting. You know what I mean? And seeing if they ain't going to get any points or anything. So, yeah, but that was the thing. It's just, I don't know the mentality of Arsenal fans right now. I don't know how they feel. So please, get back to me if you're an Arsenal fan so I know. I promise I won't laugh at you. I promise I won't, okay? I promise. But yeah, it's one of those things where I just didn't see that coming. You know what I mean? I really didn't. I really felt as though they were so motivated, the players. And I don't even think it was a management issue this time around. I really felt it was just a personnel issue when it came to the players. I really felt it was. So, I'm sure Arsenal fans can argue that to the moon. You know what I mean? So, hey, it is what it is, I guess. But, I guess we need to talk about the Griffin Force flop of the week. That's right. Once again, goes to footballers. You've got to be kidding me. And you guys and girls sent me this. So, I don't understand how this is even, like, seriously, you want to talk about flop. This is more than just flopping or embellishing. This is just, why don't you just put this guy in theater at this point? Speaking of bad showings, I guess we should talk about the NBA playoffs. You thought I was going to start with the Sixers, didn't you? Yeah, come on. But the Sixers and the NBA playoffs, they don't go together. So let's talk about the NBA playoffs, shall we? It's been so bad of what I've seen. And I put it like this, to be honest, the NHL playoffs has been better than the NBA playoffs. Baseball has been better than the NBA playoffs. I would not be surprised if the NBA has lost so much revenue, all right, when it comes to these early rounds in the playoffs, and they're just waiting to, till they get to the championship to make some money. You've got to be kidding me that we are seeing this type of play in the playoffs. We've seen guys flop. We've seen guys embellish. We've seen guys kicked out. We should just talk about this. Let's talk about the Clippers, all right? Let's just talk about Raymond Felton. I need to talk about Raymond Felton, all right? Because clearly he's in playoff form. There's no way you can tell me that you were playing like this in the playoffs.
With 11 to go in the quarter. Felton switches, favors on him. High arcing shot, or maybe it was a pass, not sure.
Yeah, that's a shot. That's not a pass. He tried to pull back and take the jump shot on the bigger guy. Bigger guy caught onto him, and he had to adjust his shot in mid-form, and it was an air ball. That's all it comes down to, all right? So it was not a pass. But the fact is, there's a reason the Clippers are eliminated. It's just that simple. There's a reason, all right? Now, also in the West, we saw OKC get eliminated by Houston. Russell Westbrook, who I still feel is the MVP of this league, and not because of his stats. We've talked about this before. If Russell Westbrook gets hurt, all right, OKC doesn't even come close to making the playoffs. They don't, all right? If Harden gets hurt, Houston still has a chance. You know what I mean? If LeBron gets hurt, Cleveland still has a chance to make the playoffs. So that's how I see when you come to most valuable players. You take those pieces away from those teams, and you see, can they still go somewhere? That's what it comes down to, all right? So Russell Westbrook, as far as I'm concerned, is the MVP of this league, all right? At least this year. However, OKC was bounced, and, Houston, they love to make fun of Russell Westbrook for some reason. But as you know, even to this day, they're still chanting Russell Westbrook is MVP. We saw what happened not too long ago against the Spurs in Houston, all right? We saw that. So, that's a real thing. But I will say this as well. We know that the Cavs, let me back up for a minute, all right? We know that these NBA Finals coming up, it's going to be between Cleveland and Golden State. We know that. You can sit and say the Spurs are a threat. Cleveland, Golden State, they're going to have this matchup again. We know this, all right? We're not fools. So it doesn't matter what happens throughout the rest of these playoffs, okay? No matter how you feel about Boston and Isaiah Thomas, and you know what? And I feel bad for Isaiah Thomas due to the fact that what happened with his sister, all right? But Boston is a bunch of floppers, and we know that, all right? I've shown you a number of times they have flopped. Especially, look, when you got Marcus Smart on your team, he becomes infectious and everyone else starts to flop, all right? And the fact that they played against Washington, Isaiah Thomas dropped 53 on Washington, and John Wall had, 40? So it's really interesting to see that. but they didn't do enough to take the ball out of Isaiah Thomas's hands. You would think the coach would be like, all right, this guy's getting at least 30. He's got 35 at least. It's time to take the ball out of his hands. You got to do something. You can't keep running the same, that same defense. Of course, as we know though, Washington in that last game, they had a chance to win the game. They were up by 6, 7 points with 3 minutes left. All they had to do was maintain. Some people will say that they needed to foul. I don't think you should have just fouled your way to a win. I think that's a bunch of garbage, all right? But they could have maintained and locked down better on defense, all right? Even at the end, we saw Washington had the shot, in regulation, at the end of regulation, and the shot was so short, it was pathetic, all right? And then when overtime came, here comes Isaiah Thomas, and he just destroys people. And I've noticed something. Was it Moncrief or Markeith or whatever his name is? He likes to talk a lot. He likes to talk too much, if you ask me. You can't sit here and put up 15 points in a playoff game while you're getting roasted on mismatches against Isaiah Thomas. Morris. Yeah, Markeith Morris. You're getting roasted by Isaiah Thomas all night. And every time he's knocking shots down, here you come to get in his face. To keep talking and talking and fucking talking and talking. The fuck you talking so much for? Play basketball. Look, in an ISO, because if you haven't noticed, all right, and when it came to Washington and Boston, Washington did a lot of ISO in the beginning of the first half. Second half, completely different, all right? Isaiah, at that point, had decided he was just they were mismatching him with big men. And here's the thing, I don't feel bad for big men, because we saw it with Steph Curry as well last night on, I forgot his name, not Gortat, it doesn't fucking matter. He was abused too. When you have big men against smaller men. I remember, and it's still to this day, bigger guys, when you're playing basketball, bigger guys would always think that they're better simply because they're bigger, all right? So you feel as though they could match up with guards. Now that you're seeing that guards are making them look absolutely stupid and scoring on them, there's nothing else to be said. So I'm not trying to hear it's unfair, it's a mismatch. I don't want to hear that shit, all right? I can't tell you how many times, I'm sure we've all had to deal with this when you were kids. When you were a specific age and you were playing basketball or you were practicing, you always had the bigger guys, the adults, come on the court and say, nah, little man, you got to move out the way because we getting ready to run. And you be like, well, can't I run with y'all? And they be like, nah, you too small, you can't play, you a kid. Now you got dudes who are smaller, significantly smaller, against bigger guys, roasting. And that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. I don't feel bad for big men at all. You want to step to a guard, it's already bad enough that you have other guards who can't, control other guards. But a big man stepping to a guard on a mismatch, get bodied. Get absolutely destroyed. Get made a fool of. You deserve it, as far as I'm concerned. So no complaining. But Morris, he's got to stop talking, because that's all he's doing. Stop talking and put up more points. That's what's going to help your team. Okay? That's all it is. And I understand that people are only limited to as many minutes as they get, but you can't talk most of that time, oh, you scored on me, now I'm going to get in your face about it. What? Stupid. It is. But what's even more stupid is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And for those who don't know what happened not too long ago, how do you eject a guy for dunking on another guy, barely saying anything? All he did was turn his head and say something slightly and then run off. And you eject him for this shit, refs?
Just put on him by Brown. And Dante Jones! Not only with the stuff, but then talks trash to Jakob Poeltl. In fact, that'll earn him a technical foul. Jakob Poeltl, who's from Vienna, Austria, is wondering, why is he doing this to me? Why is he talking to me?
Dante Jones showing at 36, still has a little bit of lift. A little trash talk as well as he picked up that tech, but brings energy and brings toughness for this team.
And apparently it's a double T. Norman Powell then stepped in, had something to say. So, now why is Powell going to the line? I just heard Jones has been ejected.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that Duke conversation must have been off the charts.
And you hear Marv Albert? He was ejected. That conversation must have been off the charts. You see it with your own eyes. There's not much of a conversation. Now, is there? No. He dunked it, he turned, he said something, and he walked off. What's the problem? It's one thing if you're like Morris, where you're getting baked and you're getting salty and you're talking to people. But Cleveland's winning. He gets this dunk and he barely says anything. Yeah, what? He could have just said that. And you gonna tell me you're gonna eject him? You gonna give him a double T for that? Come on. That's not even realistic. That has to be one of the softest ejections I have seen. And I put it like this: it's not the first time we've seen people get teched or ejected for other things. I mean, we can go back and look at Rasheed Wallace's career. He would just look at a ref wrong, and they was teching him. You know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely ridiculous that this is what we're seeing. This is why the NBA playoffs, between the flopping and these type of ejections and bad play, as you saw with Raymond Felton, and these type of ejections, this is what's hurting your playoffs. Mind you, the NBA banks off the playoffs because they've made it known themselves that nobody really cares about the regular season. Everybody comes to see the playoffs. And now you're pulling this in the playoffs. So what do you think your ratings are going to look like? Get it under control. Oh, I forgot. You won't get it under control. Your idea is to charge people for the last 2 minutes of the game and say that's how we can make some revenue. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, you're so consumed with money instead of realizing how much the product needs to be fixed. Now you're getting ready to have these fan awards, all right? Hosting Drake not too long ago because they said there was going to be fan awards. For those who did not see last night, they were for one for best fashion, and it was Westbrook. It was Westbrook, Dwayne Wade, and someone else. And I was like, no, I need to win this shit because it's all horrible. But here's the thing: you're having fan awards to make it seem like you give a shit about the fans. If you cared about the fans, you would be hearing their complaints about stopping flopping. You would do these type of things, wouldn't you? But you don't do that. No. So for you to think that these type of awards is going to be like throwing us fans a bone and say, look, we care. You don't care about shit about yourselves at this point. All right? And of course, that's not towards the players. The players should have more respect for the craft. They should. They shouldn't be flopping. But it's one of those things where these high, the people on the, in the high seats, you know what I mean, the owners, and in all the NBA operations, they should have a higher respect for the fans, and it actually is a smack in the face. Because if you really think as though, because this is going to be in New York in June? And I put it like this: if this is what you think fans want, as opposed to cleaning up the product, there's something wrong with you. But this is what you're doing. You're just throwing something out there to distract fans to make it seem like they care, when it's really disrespectful. It is. Let's move on, shall we? Last bit of news. Let's talk about boxing, shall we? Okay. Now, Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko. I want to talk about this. Because, let's be honest here, people, okay? Excuse me. This fight was a great fight, all right? And I say this due to the fact that you have to watch the fight and all. I know there's some people who only saw HBO, at night. So they only saw, just the Joshua Klitschko fight. Or on Showtime, they only saw certain things, Joshua Klitschko. But if you watch the stream from overseas in the UK, and you had a chance to see the preliminary fights, all right? Because there's about 4 fights, I think, 4 or 5 fights, something like that, I don't know. But really good fights, okay? And I say this due to the fact that the first fight stood out the most. The women got out there. One woman was from the UK. The other was from Germany. This is the first time this woman has been outside of Germany to fight. She was, a dominant fighter in Germany. Gets out there and gets her ass kicked. Gets her ass absolutely annihilated to the point where they have to stop the fight. Yeah, it was just absolutely insane seeing the different skills between a boxer versus a person who didn't know how to defend a multiple combination. I mean, the girl from the UK, she was coming in straight like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what she did. And she turned angle. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how she was fighting. It was almost like anyone who's ever hit mitts, because, this is what they do with mitts. That's exactly how she was fighting. Exactly. So, get that combination, turn to an angle so your opponent can turn. By the time the opponent turns, you're already in the next combination. Turn again. By the time that person tries to react, another combination coming next to you. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things over and over and over. That's how she fought her. So even if they didn't stop the fight, this girl was winning on a landslide in points. The woman did not know how to defend that at all. And you can tell because she was just, what's going on? Then when they would try to get into these big exchanges with throwing hooks, she was also on the bad end of that as well. So, good fight. Lots of blood. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, lots of blood. But they had to stop the fight. And it was the best preliminary fight of the night. That was the first fight. The women, they went out there and they had something to prove, and they showed, they can box. So, Joshua versus Klitschko. I had Joshua winning this fight. I thought that this would be a little bit more of a landslide. First 4 rounds, good. You know what I mean? Had some feel-out rounds, and then Joshua was, putting on a little bit. Klitschko was still, Klitschko being Klitschko, just holding back and waiting and waiting. 5th round, okay. And then Klitschko in the 6th round knocks down Joshua. And it's the first time Joshua's been knocked down, so you're wondering how he's going to react, right? Now, mind you, got to think these are heavyweights. So the longer they go into these rounds, the more gassed they're going to be. It's a lot of weight on them. And Klitschko started cruising for a bit, you know what I mean? And you got to think, for a guy who's in his 40s, Klitschko was in great shape. I just don't like tactics that Klitschko does. Again, when you want to hold, he leans over top of you, so he's putting his weight on you, and you have to understand, round after round after round, if a man just putting his weight over top of you like that, that's going to tire you out. It is. And he just played the same old tactics that he usually does. And then everyone thought that Joshua was gassed. That 11th round came, all right? And Joshua caught him with that uppercut. That was pretty much it. And everyone was saying, the uppercut was going to be the key to knocking down or finishing off Klitschko. And damn if he didn't catch him. And then after that, Klitschko went down. Klitschko got back up. He went back down again in the 11th. And then he was getting ready to go down for a 3rd time. It's going to be a TKO. And what happened? Ref comes in, stops the fight. Joshua shows a tremendous amount of heart for a person that's the first time ever being knocked down. Getting up in the 6th and going into the 11th and fighting as hard as he did to win that those titles. You have to give him the credit that he deserves. So congratulations to Anthony Joshua. Now here's the thing, all right? Afterwards, Joshua says something that it seems like falls on a lot of deaf ears. You know what I mean? In boxing they tell you, leave your ego at the door, you know what I mean, and respect your opponents. And this is true. This is something they tell you. Because if you're not humble, you have to think, when you start boxing, you're going to get your ass kicked a lot, okay? So you have to be humble. If you come in there thinking you're the fucking man on the first day, they will feed you to some type of monster, and you will learn quick, oh no, this is not it. And then they want to know if you're going to come back afterwards to see if you can suck that up, if you can take that and keep going. Learn from it. Because every loss you have is a learning experience. You know what I mean? So for him to come out and say that afterwards was very classy. It shows for a young guy like Joshua, has a good head on his shoulders. Then he calls out Tyson Fury. Now, of course, Tyson Fury dropped those titles. He was overweight. We saw all the problems that happened with Tyson Fury after he beat Klitschko. We saw the media go after him and all this. Technically, Tyson Fury is in line to have this fight because, let's be honest here, the 2 men that beat Klitschko for these titles, and because Tyson Fury actually never lost the titles, actually was beaten, he deserves the shot. So I understand why Joshua is challenging, Tyson Fury. It makes sense. However, we want to see Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. That's the fight you want to see. All right? So your top 5, I have to say, has to edge out. It has to be Joshua. This is in no order. Joshua, Wilder, Klitschko, Fury. Still, you have to put Fury in there. And then, to be honest, Shannon Briggs. Shannon Briggs should be in prime in line for a title shot. So those are my top 5. I feel heavyweights right now that you have to look forward to. So I feel as though this was a great event. I love the way they put on fights over in the UK. They let the boxers talk so much and things that they need to say. And we're not just talking that interview. So what do you guys say? So who do you want to fight next? They don't do that like you see like Max Kellerman and all them do here in the U.S. No, they literally give these guys the microphone and say, have at it. And they just let them talk and say what they want and just do what they want. And I like to see that. I really do. It's the boxer being genuine as opposed to being led into something else. So, like I said, UK boxing, really well done the way they put on their stuff, especially at the end. Really great stuff. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's the top 5. I feel as though Klitschko, could he make a comeback? Yes, he could. I feel as though the way he fought, he almost had him. So, and for his age, yeah, he could still do it. I would say he has to drop to the 3 spot, though, if we're going to be specific when it comes to rankings. He's got to drop to the 3 spot. It's got to be Joshua. Actually, he may drop to the 4 spot. If we're talking UK, then he's going to be in the 3 spot. Joshua, Fury, Klitschko. If that's that triangle, they're going to keep fighting. But if we're going to throw Wilder into the mix, then clearly Klitschko's got to drop down. I think people want to see a fight with Klitschko and Briggs more than anything, because we saw what happened, video-wise on the internet. We saw those two. So they got something. That's a fight that needs to happen. So Klitschko, Briggs will fight it out, and then you got those top 3 guys who are Wilder, Joshua, and Fury, and we see what happens with that with a roulette. But like I said, it really depends on how they want to go about this, keeping those title fights in the UK. I'm sure they're, they more likely want to keep that Joshua Fury type thing going. But we'll see what happens when it comes to contracts and things of that nature. But Deontay Wilder was there to watch that fight. So was Holyfield. Holyfield and Lance Lewis. Understand those guys are legends, so it's still a little bit different for them. But Deontay Wilder was there to see what was going on. I think he's been there a couple times that Joshua has fought. You know what I mean? Or Joshua has been there to see Deontay fight. So it's one of those things where they're sizing each other up eventually in the future. Anyways, I'm done for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I will talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Until next time, I'm out.